What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new series of episode reviews. This is going to be for ReZero Season 3. And with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah, this is the longest ReZero episode, like in the history of the series so far.
Yeah,
Um,
like I said before we started recording, I didn't even check the time when I was watching it, so I didn't I was like, as I was watching, I was like, man, this is going on for a while, like, because I didn't really pause it or anything, but then when I was finished, I looked at the time, I was like, oh my god, like, it's an hour 30 minutes long. Because I mean, obviously we've had episodes before that have been slightly longer, like 40 to 50-minute episodes. So that's what I was thinking this was going to be. So I was kind of shocked that this turned out to be like a movie length episode.
yeah, much of this episode, like throughout this entire length, was mainly just build up in character development. Particularly like some of the characters we haven't seen since season one. Of course, season two mainly focused on Subaru and Amelia, like just pretty much taking on the trials at the sanctuary. But now, like with all of the characters that have been absent for like since season one, we finally get to see like uh, certain backstories of certain characters we haven't seen since then, as well as the other candidates of the royal selection.
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of, I guess nice to see some of those characters show up again that we haven't seen since season one, like Felton, Reinhard, and even Wilhelm. But I mean, a lot of this episode too was just kind of, sort of, obviously continuing on from the development we gotten in season two, with particularly with character, with Subaru and Beatrice's relationship, and also with Subaru and Amelia's relationship, like how we get to see like how that's developed. Like they obviously have progressed quite a bit in their relationship since the end of season two, and we see how that's developed and how they interact now. But at the same time, we also have Rem. Obviously, like Rem is still asleep. She's had, like, Rem has been erased, and that's Subaru's obviously like trying to find a way to restore like everybody's memory of Rem. But she, and people know who she is just based on Subaru having told them who Rem is, but nobody really remembers her. So,
Yeah,
we see stuff like that. And it was, I mean, like a lot of this episode was just essentially like just felt like I said, just sort of seeing like where we're at now after season two and the sanctuary arc, and also just setting up obviously the arc of then the next arc, with which takes place in this like city on the water.
yeah, which is almost like Subaru's like equivalent to Venice, Italy, I guess.
Yeah.
So so what people don't know is that ever since season two, that there's been a 1 year time skip, and since then, like Subaru has been training himself physically to, I guess, to be more competent at fighting for once, because he like fighting has never been his strong style, throughout the first two seasons.
Well, with Subaru, it seems more so just trying, his strength lies more so in like relying on others more than it does like trying to rely on his own abilities, or really, like, I guess, lack thereof.
Yeah,
Because he doesn't really have much. I mean, the only thing he can really do is cast Shamak magic, and which is basically just a smoke screen,
hmm
and that's about it. So it seems like, it's more so that he has to rely on the allies he's made, and it feels like this episode kind of reinforces that, because it shows how many people are by Subaru's side at this point, like Garfield, and so, some of the other characters that were even introduced in season two,
yeah,
um, alongside, of course, the character from season one as well. Just kind of showing how far his relationship with those characters has come, and also like how he's obviously developed since season one, because he no longer really has that antagonistic, relationship with characters like what was his name?
Julius.
Well, yeah, Julius, and also like, I guess to a certain extent also Reinhard and some other characters, because he's obviously changed a lot since what he went through in season two.
Yeah, if I
And
remember
And
correctly.
also as well, like his name and I guess his reputation has spread amongst all these characters because to the viewer, like, we know that Subaru has gone through like multiple different return by deaths in order to get to where he's at, in order to have overcome all the stuff he overcame in season 1 and 2. But to all the characters and everybody else, it's all just that one go through. Like, it's all just that one timeline where Subaru has done all these things. So I mean, it's pretty impressive to everybody who doesn't know that he has returned by death, that Subaru is able to accomplish all these things, like take down the white whale, and free Sanctuary, and even defeat like the Sin Archbishop Peltogeese in season 1. So like to everybody else, like the fact that he's able to do all these things, especially without him really having any kind of ability, powers or anything like that, people are obviously just like respect him just for that alone. So his name and his reputation, it seems, has like spread across the world.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but it's also helped Amelia's reputation as well, in terms of
Yeah.
her ascending through the, for the royal selection. Of course, she does still have, her competitors, which of course there's Priscilla, Anastasia, and then Crush. But of course, we know that Crush's reputation has took a hit ever since the events of season 2, after her failed encounter against. I forgot. It was like
Gluttony.
I think it was Gluttony, and I think it was that other.
It was the Sin Archbishop Greed and Gluttony. Gluttony, I think, had consumed her memories. So she basically has to get. I guess I'm assuming once Gluttony is defeated, maybe those memories will return.
Yeah. So yeah. So one day, Emilia and Subaru get a visit from Julius's brother. I think his name is Joshua.
Yeah.
Pretty much like inviting them. It's pretty much like an invitation from Anastasia's camp to visit her in the water city of Pristella, and this of course, for Emilia, she's curious of wanting to visit the place because she's ever since season 2, she's trying to find a way to bring Puck back ever since the events of the Sanctuary.
Yeah. Yeah, so they basically, of course, leave the mansion behind to go to the city and meet up with Anastasia, as well as the other royal selection candidates like Reinhardt and Felt, and of course, Wilhelm as well. Which I was kind of interested to see because Wilhelm and Reinhardt like interact with each other because they share the same name, so they're, of course, we already knew they were related, but of course, we learned that they have this, I guess, somewhat a strained relationship because, and we're not really sure until like, I think later on in the episode that it's, revealed like what Reinhardt did and why Wilhelm has, why they don't really talk.
Yeah, it's mostly what happened to Wilhelm's wife after what happened to her during the White Whale incident. Pretty much ever since her death, according to Wilhelm, he partly blames Reinhardt for what happened to her, and their relationship has been strained ever since. But since Subaru ended up helping Wilhelm and the others take down the White Whale, this could have been an opportunity for Wilhelm to at least mend the relationship with Reinhardt, but it became a lot more difficult than it turned out to be, especially once Reinhardt's father also shows up in this episode.
Yeah, I think his name is Heinkel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically, at least initially, presents himself as just pretty much a total jerk because he just seems like he has has a problem, I guess, with both Wilhelm and Reinhardt.
Yeah, I think we don't know why. I mean, it's probably because since Wilhelm's wife was killed during the White Whale incident, that it pretty much like not only just strained the relationship between with him and Reinhardt, but pretty much the entire family as well. Though I'm guessing there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. So I mean, we'll probably get to learn more about the Austria family the more this goes on. But yeah, overall, like this does put in some more development with Reinhard and Wilhelm's family, and of course, giving Subaru some insight and wanting to help them out later on.
Yeah, and also we get to find out, I guess, what Felt was up to, because that was kind of a big question a lot of people, I think, had since season one, is what exactly, well, we still don't know, but like, what exactly Reinhard, his intentions are with Felt. Like, why did he decide to choose her as a candidate for like the royal selection? We still don't know that, but we find out what Felt has been doing the whole time.
Yeah, Felt has been garnering up support from her. I guess like a lot of her friends from the slums that that she was acquainted with before Reinhardt found her. But yeah, it's just like she still has this like somewhat of like a kind of an antagonistic relationship with Reinhardt, because she's, as we all know, that she was a bit reluctant in wanting to be a part of this whole royal selection thing, but it seems like she's starting to become more involved in wanting to, I guess, make a name for herself.
Yeah, and then of course we also get introduced to, aside from like Hankel, like one of the other new characters we get introduced to is this, I guess, like that this I guess a bard. Her name was Liliana. Was it Liliana?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was just like going around town like singing and playing guitar. And obviously she's, I guess, obviously going to be an important character, but we don't really know what her role in the story is just yet. She's just, as far as we know, she just goes around and plays songs. Yeah, I mean, that's all we really know of her so far.
Yeah. And well, like she accompanies Subaru to, I guess, takes them to where Emilia is supposedly making a deal with somebody, but it inadvertently causes a commotion, ruining their deal because Subaru, like, I guess, was with Liliana at the time, which causes, I guess, I guess one of the people brokering the deal to pretty much, completely break it off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's. What else happened in this episode?
Well, we learn apparently that Garfield, I guess, has some like PTSD to some extent after his fight after having killed
Elsa.
Elsa, yeah, in season 2. Like apparently he's haunted by visions of her, and which I thought was pretty interesting. I didn't really expect that. I didn't really expect that. But another thing that was surprising too was that after like helping this one kid, like I think he was on a boat that was about to get hit. Like after Garfield rescued him, he gets led back to their mother, which he seems to, I guess, like he seems to think it's his mother, which I don't know if it really is or not. But yeah, and then that's like the last thing we see of him. But also too, another thing that happens with Garfield is he tries to fight Reinhardt at one point, and easily kind of gets, Reinhardt doesn't really like put up a fight against him or anything, but he just kind of easily like blocks his attack. Yeah. So like Garfield's kind of feeling depressed about that, because I guess ever since he was in Sanctuary, he believed he was actually like the strongest, I guess one of the strongest people. And I guess he was, after being humbled like that, he doesn't really know how to react to it.
Yeah, it just kind of felt out of nowhere within all of a sudden having this inferiority complex against Reinhardt, just literally out of nowhere. Obviously, he felt Reinhardt's strength from like as soon as Reinhardt just approached him. And his first instinct, which is just immediately take Reinhardt down. I mean, I don't know. It's just like it just felt strange and out of nowhere for me. I mean,
I guess he sees himself as like Subaru's bodyguard at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I think the only interesting thing is with Garfield supposedly encountering his mother alive somehow, but that's pretty much where it ends off from there.
Yeah. We also see with Reinhardt as well that he has hired one of the thugs that tried to rob Subaru in season 1. which we saw in season 1 that he had dealt with those thugs, but I guess he decided he was going to basically make one of them just enter into his service. I guess maybe made a deal, like instead of going to putting him in prison or jail, you could just have him serve under him.
I think Felt had something to do with it as well. If he was like hired to be working with Felt's camp. But there is another.
I get the impression, I guess he might be like a major character in this arc. Which is funny considering he just seemed like a random like throwaway character in season 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we do get to see him again by the end of the episode. But another thing that does happen is Subaru and the others end up encountering Greed out of nowhere.
Yeah, I thought that this scene was going to be a lot more like intense, but none of them seem to, of course, none of them recognize Greed. They just literally bump into him on the street, and then he decides, to just like let them go, I guess, for now.
Yeah, but they don't know that he was the one responsible for what happened to Rem, and not like Subaru and none of the others have ever encountered him before. And,
well, I mean, technically Amelia has, but I guess you wouldn't really remember that.
Probably not. But then, of course, I think what else happens? There were some developments of like why Subaru and his team were invited by Anastasia. Is that she reveals the information of where they can find the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, which, of course, this angers Subaru, like knowing that he's the person responsible for what happened to Rem. So, I mean, as of right now, according to Anastasia, that it's still a work in progress of what kind of information they have on Gluttony as of right now.
Yeah.
And then I guess on the most recent day, by the end of the episode, Subaru and the others end up running into both Liliana and Priscilla performing to a crowd, and of course Priscilla voicing her fondness to the songstress. And then soon after that, Subaru goes off on his own. I guess goes a bit, but goes back to meet up with Amelia again. Subaru and I think what was it, that guy he met earlier in the episode? Him and the crowd of people in a square by the, I guess, in the clock tower, are greeted by the Sin Archbishop of Wrath, Sirius Romani Conti.
Yeah. So I didn't really like. I obviously I've seen this character before, and it really made me question if, like, I mean, of course, I think a lot of people's reaction to seeing her character, or at least what she looks like, is going to be like wondering if it might be Fortuna, because she looks like Fortuna, like she has the same hair and like eye color, but of course she's completely covered in bandages, so we don't really know if it is her or not. I guess maybe, like, I don't know if it was obvious, if it's been revealed in the light novels, but it makes you wonder if it might be her. But whoever it is, she's obviously not, in terms of personality, she's not Fortuna anymore. She's just this completely psychotic person. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Betelgeuse from season 1. But yeah, the scene was like the craziest scene, obviously, in the whole episode, and most of the episode up until this point, like, I was kind of surprised because there hadn't really been anything like really crazy happening. It was mostly pretty like relaxed, just kind of catching up with all these characters. And I, knowing ReZero, I was like, well, something is gonna go down, especially before this episode ends. And of course I was right, because this scene is where we get the first return by death in this arc, because Sirius comes out and she just starts I don't know exactly like what she was talking about. She was
like she somehow entranced like the entire crowd.
Yeah, well, it's not obvious that's what she did yet, because like people aren't really, they're just kind of reacting to what she's saying, but it's really like when she reveals that child that she has captured, that you start to wonder, like, okay, why isn't anybody doing anything? She's gonna do something to this kid, and nobody's, and then especially when people start, kind of, I guess, complying with what she's asking of them, or like cheering and clapping. Even Subaru starts doing it. So at that point you're like, yeah, something is wrong, and and you know, it's not until later that we find out, I guess, that she had used her authority to basically, I guess, in a way, like hypnotize the entire audience to just go along with everything she's doing.
Yeah, and then of course she ends it by literally dropping this kid to his death, literally face first to the ground, which at the same time it causes everybody's head to just literally explode to their and of course this causes Subaru's return by death to kick in once again.
I was surprised. Like, it seemed like he got a pretty generous like checkpoint, I guess, because like it's right before. I think it's right before that happens. Like, it's when they the second time they meet Liliana.
Yeah.
So I was thinking it was going to go all the way back to before he got into the city.
Yeah, I mean that would have sucked because like that would have undone all of his conversations with this.
Right, yeah, but that's kind of how it had happened in previous arcs. You know, like he would go back quite a ways, and then he'd have to go through all that again. But this time he doesn't have to do all that again. He goes back. It feels like he goes back about maybe, I guess, 10 minutes into the past, instead of like, I guess, days.
Yeah, but now he has to find a way how to try to avoid that situation or just stop that from happening all at once, because that's yeah. I mean, not only that, even if he does try to stop that moment, you know, like eventually he'll have to get into another situation in which he might end up dying in another way, and then like try to get around that as well, because that's how it happens. Like with season 1, which like he avoids like one instance in which he was killed before, but then he gets to another instance, he gets killed a different way. So we'll have to see where this goes, but yeah, it was pretty intense ending scene for their first episode.
Yeah, and like I said, like I was really surprised that it was as long as it was. So apparently, from what we know, I guess so far about this season, I've heard different things about how long it's going to be. Some people said it's going to be like I don't know. They said it's going to be over 30 episodes, but I don't know if that's true because I looked into it, and it's like, I guess maybe it might be for maybe the first part. It says 16 episodes long, or maybe that's the whole season. I'm not entirely sure, but I guess we'll see, because they said they're going to be covering 2 arcs. And I mean, I guess it depends on how long arc 5 is, because apparently they're covering arc 5 and arc 6. So I'm wondering if they can do that in that amount of episodes. I mean, obviously, like, this episode was really long, so I mean, they've already covered quite a bit. But I guess it really depends on how much, like I said, like how long arc 5 is. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
So the episode count, as of right now, from what I know so far, is that it's going to be split into 2 cores, 8 episodes each. So we're going to get the first episodes going from October to November. Then it's going to go on a 2-month break, which the second core will start in February. But there's no way for me to tell on whether or not that they're going to have another episode that's going to have like maybe at least a 1 hour or 90-minute time.
That's the other thing too, is there could be other episodes that are, maybe not this long, but could be longer than the average episode length.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've done that before I think they've done it before for season.
Yeah, in season 2, like, we would regularly get episodes that are maybe a little over 30 minutes long at some points. So I mean, that could of course happen again in season 3.
Yeah, and also of course it's that they completely, like, for more than like 3/4 of season 2, we never even get to see the opening song for the season. They just like literally just go through the entire episode and then just have credits play like while a scene is playing.
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like the studio is trying to adapt, the most of what, however much they can, even if they have to cut out the openings and endings to do so. So, yeah, but I mean, this was definitely a really strong start for the season. I felt like the art and animation, everything like that was on point. I felt like it did a really good job of just reintroducing the characters and introducing new ones, and just showing us, how far Subaru has come since season 2, and with his character development, as well as his development with his relationships with all the other characters. That was good. That was interesting to see. But I don't know. Some people might be like wondering, like, well, when is the crazy stuff going to happen, and it doesn't really happen until the end of the episode, but it was definitely worth it. I didn't really mind it anyway because I like just seeing how, like I said, how far the characters have come since, the beginning of the series. And that's really kind of what most of this episode was just showing, how Subaru is kind of just a completely different person compared to how he was in the beginning of the series. But, of course, he's going to have to go through a lot of struggle again with trying to figure this situation out. And it'll be interesting to see how he deals with it, considering, how far he's come since season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it, though. I mean, I will say, too, like, we also don't have to deal with when season 2 came out, apparently I didn't even really recognize it that much, but some people, I guess, pointed out in season 2, like, the art was a little bit off at times, and I think a lot of people were saying that was due to the pandemic because of when it came out. But season 3, I didn't really notice anything like that. It felt like it reminded me a lot of like how it looked in season 1. Season 2, like I said, I didn't really pick up on that, like, the art being off or anything. It looked similar to season 1. Maybe there were some points it looked off, but I just didn't notice it.
I mean, some people, like, before the season came out have noticed some peculiar design differences with Amelia's.
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, Amelia is something like it's funny because I don't really know why they did this, because it does seem like they increased her bust size, which was weird. I mean, I don't remember her looking like that in the novel illustrations, but so I'm not really sure why they did that. But there are some, I guess, character design changes like that, but for the most part, they look fairly consistent. But yeah, aside from that, I don't really have much else to say, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty good start for the season. Like, I thought like it was beneficial. The reason why they made it 90 minutes long was for them to put more development into a lot of the characters we haven't seen since season 1, which is, of course, it was a long time, of course, but it was really good to see a lot of the characters that were absent in season 2. Being brought back and having them developed a little bit more. I did mention back in season 2 that I really wish they could have made some kind of like OVA adaptation of some of the X novels, for Wilhelm's backstory was one of them.
I mean, it's weird that we got I guess an adaptation of the. What was it? I think Oath Under Snow or no, I forget what it was called. Like the Amelia episode.
Yeah,
we got that, but we don't get any like you said, the EX novels, which would also be kind of important. But I guess I don't know. Maybe they just, for whatever reason, they couldn't get around to doing that. But I mean, they did the Amelia episode, and they even did that that other OVA, which was essentially just a filler episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of surprised they did that. They haven't done any of the EX novels.
Yeah, I mean but yeah, as of right now, this episode is a pretty interesting start, and of course the ending definitely starts kicking off the main plot of what Subaru is gonna have to end up doing while he's in the city.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it, and if how long it's going to be, and all that. But yeah, guys, until then, we will see you all next time.